Hello, my beautiful co-creators. Lilou here. I'm in Montreal for, I think, this very last video of my entire trip, Julie. I'm so excited to meet you in person. I received this lovely, absolutely delicious email from your amazing husband. I'm sure I haven't met him, but just receiving that email, I was really touched, and I followed my intuition, and we're going to speak about intuition.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for receiving his email so graciously, and I'm thrilled. Yeah. And thank him too.
Uh-huh. I know that you connected to my web TV through some videos of Sonia Choquette. You really enjoy Sonia Choquette. You have followed some of her teaching on sixth sensory, huh?
Yes, I got a call from my intuition to connect with her. I was in a job that wasn't speaking to me. It wasn't making me feel like this is what I want to be doing for the rest of my life. And I knew that there was more. And so I just opened up to the universe and was looking for what would be next. And I had stumbled across her book a few months prior to registering for the course. And just a series of serendipitous events led me to her level 1 training of sixth sensory certification. And I just knew with every cell of my being that I had to be there. Uh-huh. And I sort of hid it from everyone because it seemed a little bit out there. This was back in 2006, and so it's like, well, how can you justify, going to this training and it just seemed like something that I was doing that I knew was right for me, but I hadn't really stood firmly in my conviction that, like, this is my path. It was just like I knew that I had to be there. So my way in with Sonia Choquette, and I've been training with her since. I went to you talk a lot about Hawaii. I was in Kauai with her for a week-long program, and that was, it's still feel the vibration of that experience, 7-day experience. At the time it was called Translucent You. I'm not sure that she offers it anymore, but just life-changing experiences.
Uh-huh. What's fabulous is that we can clearly see when I saw your website and I thought, oh my God, you have definitely, like, you have her tool, you have incorporated her tool, but you have your own. Of course, you're your own magnificence. You have, transcended that, and I love. We're going to speak of the movements and so many things. And Sonia will also speak about that. But clearly, this is wonderful, is that we can go to trainings or follow teachers, but we're really our own teacher at some point. When did you realize, that was really your thing? Because I know it takes a lot of guts and a lot of courage to follow your path, as you said, because there's nothing really tangible showing to you that this is what you're supposed to do.
If anybody knows that, it's you, right? So, yes. Actually, I phoned in. At the time, Sonia had a radio show on Hay House Radio. Sonia, I hope you're watching this. And
we'll send it to her.
Yeah, exactly. And she knows I think so highly of her, and that she's just been instrumental in my own evolution, and so I'm very grateful for that. I phoned in and I asked her a question. I got through on the line, Hay House Radio, and I asked a question. She said, "Julie, you already trust your vibes. You've got a good sense of intuition." And she just invited me to clean the clutter in my house so I can get clear. And so I'm not remembering what the question was, but
just how did you know that it was really your path? Because you said originally that you were, it was just so different than where you were at before, and a lot of people are making these transitions. So I think it's always very inspiring to have your story and your piece of that puzzle, because maybe it's going to bring the light up for somebody.
For sure. Thank you. Yes. I've always just had a very keen sense of what feels right to me and what doesn't. And so, I went to have a business degree, and I knew that wasn't really the place that I wanted to be, but I was going through the motions, and for whatever reasons, everything serves us on some level. I did it, and I just was following the way of life at the time, but always these deeper yearnings and urges and impulses to pursue what was the world beyond what I could see, and what I can feel, and that I couldn't explain. And so I pursued, education in vibrational medicine and energy healing, and and I took a course in intuition that really awakened my intuition, and I got validation that my intuition was really keen and clear. And then I found Sonia, and just being there felt, it just validated for me that I have my own answers, that nobody else is going to give them to me. But of course there could be support for it and other people can guide me there. But ultimately we all have our own answers. And so that was the beauty, and that it's endless. You know, it's this wellspring of information and learning. And what I loved about Sonia's teaching was that it was so simple yet so profound. I mean, I know that you've met her many times, and she invites you into yourself and into your body and into reality. Like, really get grounded. Like, get grounded in your body, get grounded in who you are. And I was already doing that kind of work on myself over the years of like getting really clear on who I am and what makes sense and what feels right. So...
You know, last night you were there at my conference that I did here in Montreal, and somebody asked, what is the difference between intuition and imagination? Can you tell us what you would answer here if I would ask you that question?
Yeah, sure. I knew you were going to ask me that question today.
Are you intuitive?
Yeah. I don't think you have to be to know that one, but we all are. Intuition, when you feel your intuition is speaking to you, and you're getting an answer or a voice, it feels clear, it feels calm, there's a sense of expansiveness, you feel relaxed. And imagination and intuition comes from our heart. I mean, there's different schools of thought of where intuition comes from. It comes from a deep place within us. And imagination is more of the mental world. And it can be embellished, and it doesn't have the same frequency as intuition, which is like a resounding, yeah. It doesn't mean that what you're hearing from your intuition is going to be easy to follow, but you'll know somewhere deep down that that's the right next step for you. Mm-hmm. Whereas imagination, it's like, it's mental, it's a mental frequency. Yeah.
It felt too that there is some kind of action in the intuition, whereas the imagination is kind of fuzzy and
and it's sort of playing, imagination,
like a tape.
Yeah, and actually, some people use imagination as a way into their intuition, just to open you up to the possibilities and to dream a little bit, like to get out of your head, the linear thinking, because it's not linear. Intuition's not linear. But that's something that often I'm asked of, and I ask myself of that in my own life. I trip up with my intuition. It's like, is this my intuition? Is it not? I'm constantly learning how to hone my intuition, and there's impulsivity and there's ego, and how do you discern that, and how do you get really clear on your intuition? And it's it's a lifelong learning, I think, and it's humbling.
Yeah, and there's fear too that could be there. Sometimes we feel that we know, really know, and then I'm gonna ask for signs, and I have the signs, but no, it's really something that needs to be healed there. Oh my God, big difference, huh?
Yeah, it's humbling, and it's good for the ego, actually, because it'll take you down a path that you think might be true, but then something will make itself clear that no, that's not the way. And if you're with intuition, I feel like it's moment by moment awareness. So if you're constantly being aware and questioning and feeling, does this feel good for me right now in this moment, then it'll be revealed. It'll make sense. But you can get carried away with thoughts and wishful thinking. I do it. And I learned from it. And Judith Orloff, who is a medical intuitive and board psychiatrist, says something that I really, really love. She says, intuition can lead you to a lesson or an opportunity. And so following your intuition, you're going to learn, is this my intuition? Is not. It's a process of discernment, getting clearer and clearer. And
what's interesting, and what we talked off camera just before quickly, is when we have an intuition, and then once we're in that moment or in that space or living what we thought we had a good intuition about, then there's some negative thoughts or some other second guessing or judgments that comes up. And continuing to follow that intuition is that's an interesting path too, because sometimes it's really obvious, but sometimes it goes through other motions after that first good impression or that first knowing.
Yeah. Because there's those that's how we develop as human beings. We're living a human experience, and not everything's going to be like a walk in the park necessarily. You know, the end result or the destination, you know, the end result might be what we want, but there's going to be those lessons so we can develop and open our heart and become more evolved, you know, in terms of getting rid of the negative self-talk or the ego that's wants to be in control or wants to be right. I mean, I had an experience like that too. I mean, I had an intuition, create a workshop, and I was just so inspired. You know, when I create something, I just know this is the time. Yeah. But then some things happened where, you know, I didn't have the registration that I thought I wanted, or the numbers weren't like the last workshop, and started second guessing myself and thinking, well, maybe I should cancel it, you know. And so I had a smaller group of people, but it was perfect. You know, it was. Those people needed to get what they needed to get. I needed to get what I needed to get in that experience. And though maybe it wasn't about the numbers and what I thought it would be, my intuition was right on. You know, it knew what it needed in that time, and I learned what I needed to learn.
And it's so great that you bring the number thing, because this is not something I've talked often about or had those conversations about. But this is so important when we start. Like when I started on YouTube 6 years ago, of course there was 10 views, 12 views, 13 views, you know. And for seminars, leaders, when we create your workshop and you went through that, you know, those few people that show up. First, it's exciting to have the first person, but when there's only 3, you know, you're like, oh my God. And there's those moments where we want to give up, and it's like, you know, and there's this sadness, and there is this, this is maybe not, is there something you want to say about that? How you feel about it? And
everything you say I resonate with, you know. It's this specific example too. I mean, like, it's nice to hear that fellow colleagues on this path, you know, or whatever path it is, doesn't have to be this path, can feel that, like this sense of discouragement, or I thought I had it right. Like, I'm not getting the results that I thought I would, you know.
I'm doing good for the good, and I'm serving the good. Why am I not more supported? And, you know?
It's my intuition, and it's my heart, and it's not an ego thing, you know. And so there's the humbling experience. It's the human experience, you know. It's like, I got to learn something here. I've got to grow. Maybe it's not time for me to do this right now. Maybe I need to work on, like, having fun, you know, or maybe I need to pay attention to something else in my life, you know, and just let go, because then there's resistance. And
there's this perfect timing to really feel that there's things that happen for a reason. It's like we have to be ready to receive that too. And sometimes we're not ready to receive, or sometimes we don't even want to really receive. We're saying we want to, or we would love to have people, but really there's so much other stuff.
Right. Like, what are the conflicting beliefs that are keeping us from there? And, you know, I was just looking at some of my articles that I wrote on my blog about intuition, and one of them was about, you know, don't expect your intuition to make sense, you know. I mean, you talked about that beautifully last night in your talk, just how it's like just following.
Crazy sometimes.
Yeah. It's like, it doesn't make sense, right? And then it makes sense. I mean, I have a lot of clients who come in and, like, I don't understand, or I thought I was so right on. And often I say, like, it'll make sense. It just doesn't right now.
Yeah. What are some of the other tools? Because I saw that you do these really cool videos. I mean, oh my God, you've got it. Like, you've got really this creativity, and it's also interesting where, you know, one thing we do one thing and then it leads us somewhere else that correspond even more. I mean, I really feel you have a huge talent with the videos and putting it together, and this is really awesome to see that. I love that movement thing, like shaking it out. Huh? Tell us more.
It's in a couple of weeks. You know, what I love also, it's like, just going back to a little bit, it's like you put something out and then you don't get what you think. It's just keep following. It's the creative process, you know, which is also intuitive. It's that same sort of rhythm. I have an event coming up called Dance Free. It's just an evening, you know. It's based on the fact that when I do workshops with people or coaching groups or trusting your intuition, I get people to move, you know, and get into their body and dance. And that, to me, like most people, that's like one of the highlights of the experience. And so based on the demand, based on the fact that I love it, I love putting music together, based on like what feels good to me too. we're having a dance night. So come move and get...
Come move and shake. You from Montreal, just come over, because this video will be online before that. So get it. The more the better. Shake it out. So what do you shake it out?
You do whatever you want. So different music will inspire movement. And the idea is like get out of your comfort zone. Yeah. Move into a place that doesn't feel safe, but in a safe space. And I'm doing it with a colleague of mine, Madonna Marr, who's a core energetic therapist. And she's brilliant at getting people to move their body and to get clear on what's keeping them stuck energy in the body. And so it's really about getting clarity, but without needing to figure it out. Like you let your body do the work. And have
so much intelligence there here.
Yeah.
We're really starting only to tap in this. I really feel there's so much intelligence all over the place here. Yeah. We have this extraordinary instrument and we don't even know it.
Like we're walking around with like our head cut off from our body. And it's just, you know, when do you dance a lot?
I like to dance, not a lot and definitely not enough. I love that concept of dance free. I would definitely come if I would be here. Yeah.
Well, of course, it would be great to have you, and we'll have other ones. We're actually going to make it sort of
this summer.
So yeah, we can do that. It's just to come free, and people will connect through sharing their name, and you know they could share anything else or an intention. What's their intention for being here? But it's really to just be like unabashedly bold and like connect to the music, you know, and yourself without the chatter. Let it go, like a movement meditation.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm excited by it.
What are the other things that excite you? The intuition. I know you're a coach, but the movements. Is there some other things that you do daily that you love or that you really feel in your heart that is important? Not important, but like that's juicy. That works.
Well, for me, my own personal, what I need to move like. Not necessarily dance or only dance, but like I need to go for a run or I need to do something active, you know, go ride my bike or walk or something where I can just be in my own energy and moving it. Mm-hmm. That's like tantamount to me being sane, really, you know? I mean, it's this drive, this passion to do what I'm doing, and it's evolving, you know, like, as you know, it's like you don't, like you said last night, you don't know where 5 or 10 years or what it's going to look like for you, but you're just following this path and it's taking you to these beautiful places. Yeah. So we're
having this juicy conversation and then God knows where, you know, which connections. It's just, I love it. I love it when we just follow our heart like that, one step at a time, and we trust, huh?
That takes, I mean, heart, cœur, courage comes from heart. Courage, cœur. It comes from your heart. You need to be in your heart to be courageous, and it's not easy being courageous, you know. And sometimes you need to be unpopular with people, and maybe you have to do things out of your room for a little while, you know, so you can really fully be in your, you know, stand strongly in what you're doing, despite it not being like successful at the moment, you know. But
it's part of the path. There are some things that I really see, those waves in life, you know, those ups and downs that are necessary, and sometimes life slows us down to get it, to really see and stop and observe and be grateful. Being grateful for just being here, alive. I mean, wow.
Yeah, and, you know, and it's okay to be ordinary, you know, like, doesn't mean that you have to feel like you always have to be or accomplish, but what does that feel like anyways, to be ordinary? Like, what is that, the human experience? What does it involve, you know? And at the same time, tapping into what feels good to you and following that.
Well, thank you so much, Julie. I really enjoyed spending this moment with you, and I know people watching too, and it feels good to connect with hearted people and having those conversations. It's always beyond the words, so thank you so much.
Thank you, Lilou, for your work, for your heart, open heart, and for this interview. Thank you.
Big kisses. Much love, my delicious co-creators from Montreal. It's raining, but we had some serious snow a few days ago in April. This is wild.
Slight improvement.
Big kisses. Bye-bye.